When we think about sound, we don't think about sound being where God comes from, what God is, how God made us. What we are made of is sound. And this is what Nada Yoga is. Nada Yoga is tuning into the sound current of the kundalini energy, which is made of sound, and adapting our lives around that current so that we can live in the highest vibration possible. When we tune into the sound current, we begin to feel and see and know God in everything at a very subtle level. This is where bhakti comes in. Because when the kundalini energy is awakened, it can be a crazy ride. And we need devotion to keep it as smooth as possible. So the devotion gives us the comfort and the nutrition we need on a soul level to be able to accommodate the rising frequency of that sound current, which is made of electricity. When you think of the kundalini, you can think of it in terms of a light bulb and wattage. There's a 20 watt bulb and there's a 200 watt bulb. And this is the way people are. And everyone has this energy dormant within them. And there are people who have it awakened, and yet it still isn't active, but can become active more easily than some other human who is just dormant. Because we all have this process of evolution that we're going through, and at a certain point, the energy is going to be awakened. And when that happens, we start this crazy ride, the hero's journey. You can call it whatever you want, but it takes us through all sorts of intensity, poetic beauty, power, destruction, love, hate, every intense realm of whatever is in the human experience that can be had, we will have it when the kundalini starts to rise. Because everything is blown up, made bigger, made more vivid. The velocity is increasing. And because it's happening within our energy body, it affects our body, and it also affects how we see things and how we're experiencing things, such as other people or situations. And things can just look different just like that. Some people can have gradual. Other people they can be one way, and then in a flash, their life can change. And that's what happened to me. In a flash, everything changed. And in that flash and that change took me on a long road of seeking, because another thing, when the kundalini is awakened, what's important to you changes. And for me, it happened also suddenly. I knew I needed a teacher. I didn't know what that meant as an American. I didn't even know what devotion meant. I had no idea. But when I found out what was going on, I learned everything. The first thing I learned, everything I could. The second thing, I started to do the practices that would support that energy, such as yoga and meditation. And I started to really tune in that I needed to find a teacher. Or I needed something more, different people with a different consciousness, not the people I'd been with, not the partying, not the focus on materialism or superficiality or whatever. I was like focusing on God. I was focused on something within myself that felt a connection to something that I couldn't see, that was bigger and much more sublime than the reality I had been living in. And so that was the beginning. And I'm saying that we'll have this shift where all of a sudden we'll start thinking and wanting things that we never would have thought we would have wanted. Like, I need to find a teacher. I need to become a vegetarian. I need to do all these things. But you don't know why. You don't know where you're going, and you don't know what you're going to do. And the issue with that is, so You probably have a lot of things already in your life that are keeping you comfortable, that make your life make sense. But then when you have this awakening, those things aren't meshing with the new you that's coming into being. And when the energy is awakened for whatever reason, we still have choices. But you can be sure of one thing. While you may not be sure of religion, you may not be sure of other people's rules, you may not be sure of anything else, you can be sure of one thing, that this divine force, God force, feminine God force, is within you. And therefore, we don't need a religion. We don't technically need anyone else's rules once we get to a certain point, especially because she will guide us. But why we need, or why I felt I needed, because it's different for everybody. Personally, I was looking for a teacher, and someone told me, well, you've heard the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Oh, and I went to town getting ready. Many, many years of getting ready. Because I thought, I need someone who has a higher level of realization than me, who can see me more clearly than I can see myself, and who can direct me through this treacherous territory. That is what I felt as a person. And I did find teachers eventually. And this really changed my life. And a lot of things happened. And a lot of things will happen in your life. And some of them can be scary because transformation doesn't always feel, or actually transformation never feels secure and safe because we've lost our ground. And so to learn to live in groundlessness, where we know we can't be who we were, but we don't know where we're going now, takes a lot of living in the moment, mindfulness, and courage. And what's driving all of that is devotion. So one of the first things you may notice about yourself once you have this Kundalini awakening is you start to feel love for anything you hear about God, about your soul, about the inner divinity that you carry. You start to tune in and want to hear those sorts of things. It starts to make sense to you because from within you're being called to go and find who you really are within. And all of these things that we've been focused on for so long, we've created all this karma, is now starting to throw itself off. And as the karma starts to throw itself off because our energy starts moving faster, that's when the ride can get crazy. And when the ride's getting crazy, all sorts of magical and mystical things can happen. All sorts of scary things can happen. Nobody knows what's going to happen, but we do know that there is an increase of vibration and there is an elevation of perception. And sometimes that is not comfortable because it's not that things have actually changed. It's that we're now seeing more of what it was. Is that we're seeing with more light. And so we start knowing we need to make changes, but we don't know where to start. And so we get afraid and we keep trying to force ourselves back into old patterns because that makes sense. This new thing, we can't see it, we don't know, it's a feeling, it's kind of crazy, it's causing me discomfort, but you're very attracted to it because it's you, it's your heart. But without the support or the direction, pretty much everyone is just going to have that awakened energy and go back to old ways over and over again and create even more havoc in their lives because of this. You have more energy to work with until we stop running from the truth. And the truth is that what this energy requires is for us to face ourselves. And so when I say get into the best environment and circumstances that you can get into for support, it's for that reason. It's for the fact that, yeah, we're all going to get to that destination sooner or later, everyone alive. everyone not alive. We're all going to get there, but are we on the fast track? Because once you get in, you can't get out. Once that river's going one way, it's really hard to walk back upstream. It's going to keep washing you down. And either you surrender and float, or you get thrown around and you keep trying to go the other way, and it just doesn't work. And so, the Kundalini energy, what is that? Okay, it's that current of life force. It's that spiraling current that resides at the base of your spine. It's that spiraling current that comes down and inspires us. It activates, it enlivens, it clears up and cleanses the karma we hold in our chakras. Our chakras are not in our physical body, but they are correlated with our physical body, and they are affecting our physical body. And they are affecting areas of our life, just like the planets do. The chakras are connected to the planets. All of this is interrelated. So if you want to know yourself, these are important things to study if you're on the path toward awakening. Because not knowing doesn't make it not real. It just makes you not know as much about yourself, which doesn't give you the upper hand that you could have had you had the tools to work with to get an objective view of yourself when you're in this great forest. And things will happen with your body, and you'll know and you'll feel it. And I will give you examples, not anything I've read, everything I'm talking about, personal experience only, because I can only guide and help and support with what I personally know, not with something I read and am now conveying to you. So you can be sure that these symptoms, indications are real. And I'll just give you a few offhand. First of all, you may change overnight. You may suddenly want to eat different food. Your sleeping patterns may suddenly change. You may go to meditate and you may see light, purple light, red light, gold light. You may hear things from other realms. You may see visions of other places. You may have very vivid dreams that are directing you to do certain things. You may know things and not know how you know them. You may have clairvoyance. You may remember your past lives. You may have a vision of your past lives. You will experience rocking or swaying in your body, especially when you're meditating or being spiritually inspired. Okay? Think of when they play the flute or whatever and the snake starts to rise and move around. This is what the Kundalini energy does. It acts just like a snake. So it's coiled and it begins to rise and it moves around and it goes back and forth. Okay, between the left and the right, nadis, the solar and the lunar. And when the Kundalini becomes fully awake and rises up the central channel, it is erect. And then it opens. The way the snake has the hood, and it opens. And this is when you go into samadhi. Okay? And that's a whole different subject. But for now, the rocking in the body, the swaying in the body, a feeling of heat rising up your spine, a feeling of electrical current in your body rising up your spine, vibration. You can feel vibration in the bottom of your feet, almost like an engine is being turned on. You may feel like when your eyes are closed and you're meditating, you may get a feeling of being giant or maybe very small, like tiny, but mostly this giant feeling. You may get a feeling of being extremely heavy, like as heavy as a mountain. You may feel something inside of you bouncing up and down. You may feel a swirling energy, a circular energy looping around you, over the top of your head, around in your heart. You may sometimes wonder about the separation between your dreams at night and when you wake up. It may seem like, is this a dream? You may feel sometimes like you can't remember if, did I dream that or did it happen? Because the astral world and the physical world, the unconscious mind and the conscious mind are coming into alignment, or at least trying to. But as you can see, there's a lot going on. And so when your body is doing all these things, or you may have sudden movements or do sudden kriyas, or your body may suck all the air out or push all the air out, you may go into certain body locks. You may want to dance and move in certain ways or make certain sounds. You may hear certain sounds, like the sound of a flute or the sound of bells ringing, which are coming from the chakras. You may smell. All of a sudden you'll be meditating and you'll smell roses everywhere. Something that happens with the first chakra. And there are probably more things, but for now I'll leave it at that to give you an idea of what we're talking about. You may suddenly realize you had talents that you didn't know you had. You may have sudden new interests in things. You may cry a lot more. You may have a lot more intensified emotions because your body is purifying your emotions. And so everything connected with the chakras that is negative may be enhanced, trying to clear it out, and everything that is positive with the chakras may be enhanced. And the energy can move rapidly from one location to another. And so being patient with oneself and not trying to get away from whatever one's experiencing is important, and everyone needs support for that. And the last thing people need is to go and, tell someone that they're having these visions, and I'm not saying sometimes people don't have an issue that requires medication, but when it's involved with this kundalini awakening and your spiritual evolution, the last thing people need is to get put on drugs to dumb it down, to dull it down. And so sometimes you feel like you are on your own because there aren't a lot of places to turn where there's understanding of what you're going through. Because we're opening up to a different realm, and there is a lot going on in these different layers of existence. And so when we become more subtle and attuned, we're open to those, and it can be confusing. It can also be empowering. But it takes a lot to really master the energy. It's not a big thing. It's a very big thing. And there are certain things we can do and certain ways we can live that will help us to manage what we're dealing with. That will help us to, I don't think manage is a good word. I think embrace, adapt, what we need most of all is a structure for what we're doing, and an understanding of the fact that there is us, our personality, and then there is us that is one with all that is the creative energy of this universe that literally lives in our body, that gives us our life. And our body is this divine temple of her. And when we acknowledge and honor that, even by paying attention to our breath, listening to the sound of our voice, praying, creating something like art, music, all of this is our way of becoming one with her. And her is the energy within our body, but her takes on many different faces as it goes through our chakras, and things aren't always what we think they are, because the astral world, which is a big part of this awakening that we're going to deal with, is a confusing place. And so I personally don't think, unless someone's doing drugs or trying to force an awakening, I don't think that anyone should be afraid of a kundalini awakening, because this energy is divine and benevolent. But it's going to take us through our karma at a faster pace. It's going to take us through this process at a faster pace. And until we get the wisdom to see that we're not going to escape anything now that this has happened, that we need to surrender and change our life in a way that is compatible with the new person that we are becoming. because there is no way out of what we need to do and who we need to be. And so we're in this training, but we need to know that we're in the training, that we're not just like, am I going crazy? Am I being tortured? Am I the Messiah? People get God complexes. People get all sorts of things that happen when they don't get the right perspective or the right understanding of what they're dealing with. So when I talk about the kundalini energy, I'm talking about a path that we can count on because it's within our own body. A path of connection to the earth and the elements. Earth, air, fire, water, and ether that we are made of, that exist out in Mother Nature. The sound current that is moving through Mother Nature in our body. The simple fact that we just need a structure to give ourselves the best possible conditions for this awakening to occur. Because the more of us that can accommodate this awakening on the planet at this time is a really big deal. And we don't just do it for ourselves, we do it for the benefit of all beings, because we are connected, and what we uplift and awaken and evolve within our own consciousness affects everyone on such a profound level. And we need to understand that and be leaders, and not just think we can be like a follower and just take the easy road. Because if you're in the process of an awakening, like I just talked about, there really is no way out but through. And so what I'm describing to you is the things that I have learned since all those years ago, the things that I have felt are the most important. I want you to know what might be happening for you, that you're not crazy, that because you seem like an outcast, or you're too rebellious, or you're not going along with the group or whatever, isn't because you didn't get it right. It's because there's an individuation taking place within you that you need to respect above all other things. So these are things that happen in our lives on the outside. These are things that happen in our bodies, to our consciousness, to ourselves, to our heart. And the things that we can do without getting too caught up in religion, which can also cause us problems because of the rules and regulations that may not be healthy or appropriate for us. We can have a structure that is simply a structure of tuning into the divine that we are, and finding these ways of purifying the elements and connecting to that source, so that as we're letting go of the past, we can embrace the future. We can embrace the moment wherever we're at. And so I offer this information for people so that they may make the choice to make the change. And let me tell you, you're not going to get everything you need off YouTube videos, off the internet. We need to take a stand for our lives, and whatever that means for you. And listen to what I'm saying about the sound current, about the creative process, about the need to make our bodies healthy, the need to allow our bodies to flow, the need we have to create and connect in very human ways, because the kundalini energy is the energy of magnetism. And we are affected, for better or for worse, by the bodies of other people. When we have a kundalini awakened in ourselves and we go around someone who doesn't, for example, we may agitate them because we're disrupting their energy, because bodies influence other bodies. So if you have a kundalini awakening and you go around a kundalini master, for example, then that's going to help you because your body is going to be sympathetic with theirs, and their body is going to cause your body to raise its vibration. But if you go around people who are really trashed out physically, and you have this kundalini awakening, and there's all these things about themselves that they're not yet aware of, you're going to stir them up, and they're going to look at you, and they're going to blame you. So there's a lot that goes with this, and I know that people are having and have had this awakening, and a lot of people don't know what to do, or they think they can just pretend it didn't happen or go back to it when they feel like, but it doesn't really work like that. I mean, in a way it kind of does, because like I said, eventually we all get there. But just to make it easier on you, I just want you to know what you might be dealing with so that you can do what you need to do to make sense of your life and to make the most of the blessing you've been given, even if right now it feels like a confusing curse or you don't even know where to begin to think about what I've just said. There is a light that lives within all of us, a light brighter than we could ever imagine. And to tune in and to honor and to become a portal for that light is the purpose of our lives. Om Mani Padme Hum.